Hello, and thank you for coming to my channel. Today I thought I would do something completely different and take a break from creating because I have some beautiful books that I would like to share with you. I collect illustrated books and books with beautiful pictures because they're inspiring. First of all, I ask your indulgence with my husky bedroom voice. I've spent the week with a terrible cold, and this morning I'm starting to feel better, which is great, but I'm also on a decongestant, which makes my mouth really dry. So I'm going to sort of intersperse talking with just showing you some beautiful pages and adding some music, and I hope you really enjoy this. I think you'll find inspiration for your creative projects or just being able to add beautiful things into your life. I will put the links to as many as I can find below in the description, so be sure to check that, and then you can find them for yourself if you're interested in doing that. So let's begin. My first book is one that it's very recent, and it's one that I received for Christmas from my daughter. It's called An American in Provence, Art, Life, and Photography by Beck. And she's a photographer, so the photos in this book are beautiful. And I'm just going to set it up on the piano here and turn some pages for you. It has a ribbon tie in it, which I always love that feature. And the photographs, like I said, this is very moody. But look at this. It's so gorgeous. And the still lifes are like paintings. She moved to Provence from a hectic life in New York in autumn. So it's set up with the seasons. I have a special interest in Provence and in France in general, as you probably know if you've watched my videos before, because I lived in Provence for a while several years ago. One thing I like about this book is that she gives you tips for working with lighting, for photography, and styling, and posing, and things like that. Plus there's cooking. So beautiful. And then she had a baby. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how beautiful this book is. The next one is called Hill House Living by Paula Sutton, and I found this one when I was looking online for, I forget what, I like home decor things, and she's a lady in England, and she has a YouTube channel which I'll link below as well. But she describes the beautiful life that she has at Hill House, and this is what her book is like. The Art of Creating a Joyful Life. Such beautiful photographs, and her text is really nice too, describing her life in England. And then we have Susan Branch. You're probably familiar with Susan Branch. She lives on Martha's Vineyard in the US. And she's written several books, and they're all illustrated with her own art. And I have, I think, all of them. But this one I really like because it's falling in love with the English countryside. And I love to travel, and I love other places. So I particularly like books that are set somewhere else. So beautiful. She took the Queen Mary across the pond to arrive in England. So she talks about being on the ship. And then arriving. This is an absolutely charming book, as are all of Susan Branch's. I can't recommend them enough if you love illustrated books. They're all hand printed, so it's all her own handwork, which is something I really love. In and Out of the Garden by Sarah Mida. Now, Sarah Mida, I haven't noticed anything new from her for a long time, but she has a few books out, and I'll just show them to you here. This is South of France Book of Days, which is in a package. I bought it for the illustrations, not to use as a book of days. And then she has Sarah Mida's South of France sketchbook. And all of her illustrations are tiny and detailed and so charming. They're just lovely. She also has a bowl of olives of food and memory. It shows you what you can do to create anything. Just anything works, because she's got all these tiny patterns all on one page and her tiny printing, but the whole book is so charming. And look at all the little cups and mugs and dishes, and then just funny animals. She calls this table archaeology, which is, I guess, what's left over on the plate. There's fish bones and whatnot. So that's a bowl of olives. And then In and Out of the Garden by Sarah Mida is all garden related. And if you're thinking of creating a book with your art, it's actually not that difficult. I've done several. And I'll put the links below for those as well. But most of this page is blank, and then it has this tiny illustration on it. These were probably created larger because the print is so tiny. But you can see that you don't have to do anything particularly fancy. For example, this one is falling letters, like alphabet letters. And then this delightful one with the tiny figures doing goofy things. This is all written, but all of these are fruits. And again, more garden theme. How to pick a perfect pear. Beautiful little illustrations like this. So her books are still in print, I believe, and I really recommend them because they're so pretty. The next book is by Sandy Jingris, or Gingris. I'm really not sure how to pronounce her name, but forgive me, Sandy, if I did it wrong. In a House by the Sea. And Sandy's illustrations are kind of similar to ceramidas in that they're tiny and like wee watercolors. So this is beautiful, little simple, almost folk art style, but just little watercolors like this. So charming, so pretty. She's got an alphabet for things for the beach, like R is for beach chair fully reclined. U is for utilizing the hammock. Beach woman blown away. There are a few, well, 100 of my favorite summer beach things. I'm a real beach lover, so that appeals to me. But again, a lovely little book with lots of inspiring illustrations and text, and really lovely and worth having. And this one is another one of France. As I said, I'm a little bit of a Francophile. A traveler's journal and love of love and France. Le Road Trip, which is, of course, le means the in French. Road Trip is English, by Vivian Swift. And she's got really, really nice illustrations too. I think she's used a font here, but it looks like it's hand done. I think it's probably, it could be one that she created of her own writing or printing. I'm not really sure, but this is lovely how it's done. So it all looks hand done, even if it was maybe done on a computer. But she talks about traveling, having a traveling scrapbook, which is this is a fun idea, just a folding one. You can do that and just add to it if you want to carry something along. Or in my other videos where I've been working on the travel notebook, which is the long, narrow one that fits it in some kind of case of that shape, I think is a really fun thing to do. She's got scenes from Paris. And then I think in this one she drives toward the coast. So here's Giverny, where Claude Monet lived and painted his famous water lilies over and over and over again. If you ever find a gallery or museum that has Claude Monet's work, you'll find some of his water lilies. I went to one in Vancouver a couple of years ago and saw some of the water lilies, and I had thought that it was like he did one or two, but he actually painted it over and over again. And she talks about it here. Plus in Normandy, where there's a lot of Tudor-style buildings. Travel at its most romantic. And super nice illustrations. And talking about her travel from Paris to the coast. I especially like these. I almost bought one in Quebec City when I was there in the fall, and but they didn't have my size in the one I wanted. I love stripes, so it's something that I keep being attracted to. But lovely, lovely illustrations and a handwritten story. Such a beautiful book. Now this one is a little bit different, but the illustrations are so gorgeous. This is Around the World in 80 Plants, and this is actually not my book. I gave it to my daughter for Christmas last year, and I keep borrowing back. And as long as she doesn't ask for it back, then I think I'm okay to kind of hang on to it. And I like to read it too, because the descriptions of the plants are a little bit unusual, kind of familiar, not very sciencey, but you get the information in a nice readable way. But the author has put in so many gorgeous illustrations for everything. Even little things like this mouse and a bird and the different ways this plant grows. plus illustrations along the bottom, and then larger ones. And it's a real collection of different plants. So you can see how beautiful that is. Around the World in 80 Plants by Jonathan Drory. He also has one about trees, which I would like to get my hands on. I did find it once in a bookstore, but it was paperback. And I just so like the hardcover. I wanted to get the hardcover. And I haven't found it since, so I'm going to probably have to order it online. And this one is a great one for crafty types like us. It's called Snail Mail by McIntosh, Rediscovering the Art and Craft of Handmade Correspondence. And I love this one. It was like, I picked it up and it's like, I have to have that. And I especially love this. That's like old-fashioned international mail, what are they called? Aerograms. In a world of 140 character limits, oversharing, and text speak, are we losing the ability to really communicate with our loved ones? Snail Mail is here to bring back handwritten communication and more in one beautifully illustrated and perfectly proper little package. So it's full of ideas on every page. I love how she's got the background here like in crumpled graph paper and the edging with this aerogram design. Such beautiful old correspondences and stamps and just ideas over and over, and even ideas for writing, what to write about. Lovely crafty ideas, how to make your own paper and envelopes. It's just full. It's absolutely full, and the end papers are beautiful. So that's Snail Mail by McIntosh. And this one has been around for a while, but is, I think, probably a favorite of anybody who loves illustrated books. How to Be a Wildflower, a Field Guide by Katie Daisy. And again, beautifully illustrated. Oh, I've been reading that one. How to Purify Water. She does lots of hand lettering with very decorative letters, like this has trees growing out of it. An old map. Beautiful butterflies. Mushrooms. Every page is illustrated. Lovely birds. Know your wildflowers. Just such a gorgeous book, and it's fun to just sit and have a cup of tea and flip through a book like this and savor every page. Now my last one is actually in French. It's Escapad France by Lizzie Mapoli. I bought this in Paris when I was there in the fall of 2021, and I found this wonderful little shop that had all kinds of stationery things and everything. Oh, if I could find it again, I'd be in heaven. It was just on a little street. We happened to walk by. I walked in, and I had so much trouble choosing what not to buy because I was so delighted by so many things. But this is a sketchbook of her travels around France, and I love it because it has beautiful end papers like this with a description. Now, if you don't speak French, it's still worth it for the illustrations. And what I've been doing is I do speak some French, but it's not fantastic. I'm not really completely fluent. So I've been reading through it with my French-English dictionary and I've added little notes here for new vocabulary. So I've just gone through it and put in things that so I can read it again and actually become a little more fluent in French, because I do want to go back and spend more time in France again. But she goes through and makes so many detailed illustrations, and they're mostly just pen and ink. And I mean, this is so cute. You can get ideas for journaling from something like this, because it's just a little sketch, a little description, and in her own handwriting, which is beautiful. And that's really all there is to it. Now, you might say, I'm no artist, I can't do that. I would say, why don't you try? Because even if things aren't perfect, I mean, nothing's ever perfect. For example, let's see. I can guarantee you that this plant, as she looked at it, did not look exactly like that. The thing about sketching is it's a representation of something. It just represents something. So you can represent it however you want to with any kind of scribbles. And like this is a little more detailed, and she's got everything straight and whatever. But yours doesn't have to be. That's the wonderful thing about it. So she's on Alsace, which is beautiful. Alsace has lots of these half-timbered buildings like this. It's gorgeous there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's gorgeous just to look through. Le Canal de Bourgogne. And I actually lived in, well, I didn't live there for very long. I stayed in, means Burgundy in France. So where you get Burgundy wines from, this is the area. And one winter we spent about a month in the Burgundy, freezing, but it was beautiful and we loved it. So you see different areas of France as she's traveled around, different common things like markets, street markets, just a fence and a horse, Corsica, palm trees, but lots of ideas of things you can do. So that one is especially nice. I can't actually say that I have a favorite, because I love them all, and I would recommend any of them to anyone. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Please subscribe to my channel and click the little bell for the notifications. Also, I would love it if you would click the like button, because that helps with the algorithm or something. And leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite books are. And I'll see you next time.